Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another tutorial. Today I'll be talking about how I recreated Illenium's classic gritty bass. Let's go ahead and check out the previews. And then this is the classic gritty bass by itself. And then just layered with 3 of the basses and the sub. And also a big shout out to my guy Chris from Culture Code for showing me how to do this. I basically just kind of watched Illenium's Lonely stream and I kind of just like recreated, what he had there, and then Chris basically helped me refine, get the sound down. So definitely big shout out to them. He actually offers coaching as well, so if you're interested in hitting them up, I will leave all their social media links down in the description below. But yeah, let's dive right into this. So basically, it's really simple. It's basically just a saw wave, because the position's turned to this way. This pitch basically is just bringing it down an octave. And we have another saw wave again. And then we also have a square wave, because the position's this way, down lower an octave than saw waves. Looks like we have some phase here as well. And then a noise oscillator, which I don't think is doing anything. There's some big crush here, and then a P shaper. We have a low pass filter here at the cutoff, which honestly, I have no idea what's that doing. I just tried to try to guess what Illenium is doing, but honestly, it sounded fine, so I just kind of left it there. And then we have this like band reject here, which is just basically makes it like do this, which Illenium also showed on the stream as well. And then what's really going to change the sound is this EQ here, because basically with the EQ we're actually having it LFO on the frequency. That's what basically is kind of making it move around, or giving the bass some movement, because we turn off the EQ, and then EQ. And then what you also want to do in this LFO section is also hit the sync button. Yeah, so basically it's going to look like this first, and then you hit that and just set the ratio 1:1. Then I think there's some chorus here, which I just kind of did to taste, and some T-tube. Also in the voicings, I just put it to 7. This is basically just kind of like if you're on Serum, for example, how many voices, or silent, so same idea there. And then if you wanted to like kind of make it more detuned, you'd basically just kind of play with this pitch cutoff area. So that basically just makes it more detuned. This one in particular though, I kept it like less detuned, because there's actually a more detuned bass already covering that frequency spectrum area. So this one was just more centered. Yeah, but I think that's going to be really it in the massive. Really simple sound. It's just like your standard like gritty bass basically. And then in terms of processing, some just very simple OTT around 37%. Just drum bus, basically just giving more drive and crunch. This is without it. So yeah, brings out the sound a lot more. Some standard EQ. This EQ is basically going to not always be the same every single time. Really depends on the context of your track. But just basically, cutting out everything below 100 to make room for your sub. Dipping out some of the highs, because there is some high end frequencies. And then another EQ doing a very similar thing, and cutting out some other highs as well. Just to make room for rides and your other high end elements. And then maybe you've already seen in my previous video on how to layer mid basses. I'll kind of go over how to layer it a little bit, You're also welcome to check out the video if you want to go a little bit more in depth, but I'll kind of just share with you some of the basic foundations, and my bass sound design has definitely improved since that video as well. So I'll just go over it very briefly. But yeah, just in case if you haven't watched the video yet, a good starting point doesn't always have to be this way when you layer your mid basses. But generally, the way that I layer my mid basses is basically having one like less detuned, which is this one here. And for you, those of you who actually seen the video, this bass has actually replaced my Midas bass, which was the less detuned one. And then you're gonna have your more spread bass. So this one's more detuned, and it's actually also like a type of gritty bass. I'll just show it to you really quickly. It's just a Casper preset angry bass. Yeah, if you want, you can check out the other video. I kind of go more in depth with it. And then there's also a OTT as well on this one, and also the same thing, drum bus, and then also a standard EQ taking out some highs and everything below 100. And the next bass we have is like a top bass, or whatever you want to call it. It can be considered as one. I kind of take a look at it as a different wave, because the other waves are basically saws and squares. So this one has a bit of a different waveform, which brings a different texture to the sound. This one again is basically just the Angry Boss preset that I got in standard and Serum, and the processing I did, which is actually a little bit different than last time, is basically just adding some Saturn and making this band, separating the highs and lows, and not really doing any drive at the lows. It was like 30%, which really didn't do much, but more of it came from the higher end, about 66%, and using a tube distortion at warm tube. And then really standard again, just cutting out everything below 100, getting rid of the highs, because there's a lot of highs in the sound. Yeah. So again, just making room for those like high-end elements. And then on top of that, to add some more stereo width, basically just adding like an S1 imager. And the reason why this one has a stereo imager compared to like the other ones is actually just because like the tone of the bass compared to the other basses, kind of sounds like it's almost like at a higher octave, because it actually is at a higher octave, because it's actually one up on octave, and on top of that it has -5. I would say these aren't like the end by all means kind of like ways to do it. I think it's just kind of like a good starting point, and it just really depends on the context of your track, on how what you want to give more stereo width, for example. It's not always going to be the same thing every single time. So, all right, guys, honestly, I think that's gonna be it for this video. If you want to grab this whole entire project file from build up, the drop, and basically everything in there, go ahead and check out my Patreon. I basically upload project files on my Patreon page. I also have a tier where I give in-depth feedback on your tracks, and also I have a tier where I also offer coaching too. So if you find interest in any of that, definitely check out my Patreon. I will leave all the links in the description below. And also, if you're interested in coaching at a bit of a discounted rate, because Patreon has quite a bit of fees, feel free to give me an email and we'll set something up, and I'll give you a little bit of a discount compared to if you were to go through the Patreon. And also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't yet. Hit the bell notification symbol so you know when my next video goes live. Follow me on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and also join the Discord. I'm looking to create a community where we can all help each other grow, give each other feedback and stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely join the Discord. As always, I will leave all the links in the description below. Thank you so much again for watching. Until next time, much love. Peace out.